John, any injuries heading into Friday night?
Darragh O'Connor is out, James Tilley obviously is out, suspended, and Shep is out, and we had a meeting yesterday with Colin Healy, and we brought in Cian Murphy, Cian Bardry and Darragh Crowley into the squad. And obviously we're going to wait till the summer because they're doing their leaving, but they're off for the next couple of weeks with holidays, so it just works out quite well with all the games as well. So they've come into training, and other than that, everyone is okay.
Is that to kind of give an injection of youth enthusiasm and kind of make everyone up their game a little bit, or is it?
Well, I think we know we have, a couple of lads coming through that are quite talented. The lads are playing the League Cup and they played the Munster Senior Cup, and Darragh Crowley scored last week. Cian had been out injured, had been away with Ireland. So we think these guys have real talent. It was just a balancing with the leave insert, trying to get them to July. Obviously, from our own point of view, we would have had them in full time since the start of January if we could have. It wasn't that way, but we've had a good discussion on it. We just feel the time is right to bring them in, and particularly they're all forward players, and it gives us options because we're a bit tight on that situation at the moment.
Must be quite tricky getting younger fellas kind of into the senior squad, get them ready for senior football.
It is, and I suppose you look over the last number of years, it has been difficult because where we were so strong and the squad was so strong. But look, it gives us the right opportunity now because we can introduce them. They've done well in the League Cup, they've done well in the Munster Senior Cup, which is a different level, and I understand that. But at the same time, it's probably the time now that we need to bring them in, and certainly from an attitude, there are our own fellas coming through. They're fit lads, they're quick lads. They are a bit raw, but it's a good time for us to introduce them.
You spoke about decreased budgets before. Is that something that's going to be happening more promotion from new teams?
Well, in the ideal world, what we want to do is bring as many fellas as we can through, but it isn't as simple as that because the fall off rate has been quite high. We had one of our teams there a number of years ago where we got 4 or 5 out of, but that was very unusual. Generally, you look at it, very few fellas have come through because the step up is so big. So, but certainly with the academy with Colin in charge, certainly starting at under 13s will give us the opportunity now that we can bed more fellas, we hope, coming through. But it is difficult, it's not easy, and in the ideal scenario for a club like ours, that's where we want to be. And I suppose always we want to have a big contingent of local players. Obviously you will always need outside fellas to come in as well to boost up the squad, and that's what we've done over the years. But at the moment we feel there are a number of lads coming through, and with the way the squad is and with the quality in the team, we feel now is an opportunity to start bringing guys through.
Just looking ahead to Friday night, back-to-back league defeats, what's the feeling like being in the squad? Have you had like a clear the air meeting or anything like that?
As I keep saying, you can be doom and gloom, and as a management team, we've suffered defeats before. We've been in situations where you've had a couple of weeks haven't gone right. Ultimately, you have to get back and get the players ready for it and on it. And I know a number of lads are disappointed, but at the same time, last week has gone. The most important game is Friday. We need to get back to where we're at and the way we can play. And the last number of weeks we haven't done that. Obviously, Pat's tremendous win at the weekend. Very experienced team. They brought in a lot of new players this year. Forrester, Drinan, Shaw, Clifford. McCabe, so there are a lot of guys, and they're certainly, I think at the start of the season we're certainly looking to challenge for the league, but definitely being in Europe, and they're on track for that. So we know how difficult it'll be, but at the same time we're at home, and Friday night's our next most important game, and there's nothing wrong with the attitude or the commitment of these lads here, but at the same time they've lost a bit of confidence, and we need to get back quickly.
John, with 8 games gone and 14 points dropped already, what's been the kind of most frustrating part of your performances and where you are on the table at the moment?
I think giving away what we would feel is cheap goals, and I suppose we haven't had the consistency of the team, and certainly hadn't had the consistency of the strength and depth that we would have had before. You know what I mean? So while we've lost a few players before, we always had guys that I think what we need to look at is that if you compare, like a lot of the guys from Beattie, Sadler, McNamee, Cohan, all these lads were mid-20s, very established, very experienced guys, and we probably had a strong 16, 17. Ultimately, at the moment, we have a lot of younger players, and I think sometimes when I look at last week and McCarthy, McLaughlin, Dan Casey, they're only 20, 21, haven't played many matches, and I think, but sometimes people assume that they're established and they're senior players, and they're not. You know, Tilly has come into our club, and we brought through, say, Ronan Hurley, Pierce Phillips, Gary Boylan coming in. These are still only guys in. They've only played a year or two in the league. Some of them haven't even played a year or two in the league. Some of them might have less than 20 games. So I think we have to allow for that, and sometimes we're impatient. Maybe as a management team at times we're impatient because we expect them to see the mistakes happening. But in terms of their ability, there's no question. But yes, we're in a different place than we were. Everyone can see that, and what we have to do is make sure we're certainly better than where we are. But what we do is get the confidence back in, bring more fellas through, and get ourselves back competing. And from my point of view, certainly we need to be higher up the table, and we expect that over the next 3 or 4 weeks we'll show that.
Under your management, John, there's always been goals in Cork City, and especially at home. We were just 3 of the 4 home matches. Are you scratching your head here? Come up with a new plan for Friday maybe, or change things around?
Well, it has been difficult, and I suppose we have originally. From the time we came in, we had Marcus Sullivan, who had been phenomenal. No one knew about him, in local football, yes, but no one thought he would do what he did for us, and he was phenomenal for the club. If you look up, certainly for the first 2 years, going to third with John O'Flynn around as well at the time, but certainly then with the Shawnee element, and a lot of goals came. And last year, at the end of the day, we had Kieran Sadler and with Graham, and they both did very well. Graham hasn't. At the moment he probably needs a goal to get going, and but we've some of the young lads we brought in, hasn't happened for Nash. Young Dan Smith is again come in, and but look, we're going to bring through a few of our own young fellas that we feel that they need a bit of game time, have scored lots of goals at underage. We know it's a different level, but we feel with their attitude and the way they are, we'll introduce them over the next few weeks.
Yeah, Pats have made a similar start to yourselves, John. It's been up and down, a few wins here, a few losses. So and the opening game of the season was 1-0. Few chances in that one.
Yeah. Well, I think in the first half an hour we had a couple of good chances. Brendan Clark made 2 fantastic saves, and and then we gave away a soft penalty. In fairness to Pats, they held on and did well. But it's been a bit like that. But we're lacking a bit of cuteness and experience, but I don't want to make excuses. At the end of the day, we have to work with the lads here. They're all good lads, and sometimes maybe in the last couple of weeks we mightn't have had the break. You look at last Friday's match, and I know it's difficult to go 3-1 down 62nd, 63rd minute. I know the crowd got deflated, the lads got, and if there was one thing I'd say to our supporters who have been phenomenal, there's a small element that are criticising some of our lads, and we need, we're at home, we're all supporters, and particularly these lads, get behind them. And I know we all get frustrated, but at the moment we need everyone to be behind the lads and keep it going.
John, do you feel Graham Cummins could do with a bit more support? He seems to be isolated in some of the matches, and hence the lack of goals maybe.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we haven't.
Seems to be very far removed from the midfield 3, as you mentioned, but even more importantly, the 2 wide men, I suppose, getting forward, getting crosses in for him and so on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
something you worked on during the week, or?
No, we've been working on it all the time. But I think you see, it's a bit like Graham played last year up front, and he got 16 goals from play, which was phenomenal to take, and. He had Sadler outside him, he had Shep with him, and Darrell Connor unfortunately was one of our bright lights, got injured. Sadler was suspended for one of the matches a couple of weeks ago, and he's out this week. So yeah, but to be fair, he has. It's not from not the work going in trying people to get forward. It just hasn't happened, and some of the players have ended up probably deeper in positions than maybe they should have, and that's stuff we're working on. You know what I mean? So I always look at the scenario where people can say, well, should you have 4 up front? That's fine. But then again, what you do in the other positions then, because ultimately in modern football now, it's, a lot of teams are playing 4-3-3, and, a lot of people dominate. You look at Rovers last week, and they were dominating midfielding. We've 3 experienced guys in there. And, they had Aaron Green up front on his own, but it didn't look like he was on his own the way they played. And sometimes these things can happen. So certainly, we need to give Graham more support. There's no doubt about that.
Thanks,